Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn, which is currently streaming on Netflix and Hulu, is a continuation of the Universal Century timeline. The conflict is centered around an object known as Laplace's box, which is known to have the power to destroy the Federation. And the Unicorn Gundam, as told by Cardeas Vist, is the key to opening Laplace's box, making it a very important and valuable mobile suit. But that doesn't change the fact that I spent over $200 on this piece of state-of-the-art Gunpla model kit. Honestly, $200 for a kit is a lot for anyone, even more serious Gunpla builders, but there are a couple things that are able to justify such a high price tag, and honestly, I'm not too mad that I spent that much money on it. The end result is a very premium looking master grade that has plenty of features and gimmicks to make it so it stands out from the rest of your collection, even if you have one of the older kits like this one. So today we're going to go over the good, the bad, and all the other features of the master grade Extreme Unicorn Gundam. Honestly, building this kit, trying to get this review out for you guys a week after the unboxing, was probably the most stressed I've been while building a Gunpla. Not because it was hard or anything, but because it was just taking so much time. With all the moving parts, and especially considering the transformation for the Gundam, there's plenty of parts, especially in the armor, that ends up making this a long build. Now you couple that in with a detailed inner frame, as well as having to weave in the LED strip between several parts, then you get kind of a complicated and lengthy build. So over the past about 6 days it took me to finish this kit, I probably spent at least 2 to 4 hours a day working on it. And by far the lengthiest parts of it were building the MS cage, as well as the 6 Gatling guns. And it doesn't help that the plastic that they're molded in isn't really that easy to work with. So because of that, with the MS cage, I definitely took a little less care than I did on the actual Unicorn Gundam. So if you look closely, there's probably some visible nub marks, but on the Unicorn Gundam, it'll look pretty good. In terms of how easy the build is pretty standard for a master grade until you start to integrate that LED strip. Because it's so thin and slightly flexible, it's kind of hard to maneuver throughout the frame. At times I felt like I was gonna rip it. It gets kind of confusing because there are spots where you have to bend it one direction and spots you have to bend it a different direction. And there are times where the LED strip doesn't stay in place until you snap in the parts around it. So that part gets a little tricky. But oh man, is the end result worth it. Maybe it doesn't look so good from that far away, but we'll get a closer look of it towards the end of this video. In terms of color separation, this kit is excellent, and honestly you can't go wrong. In the anime, it's a black and white kit with blue accents, so it's not that hard to recreate as a Gunpla. I love the monochrome design. The fact that the lip pieces are made out of a clear plastic instead of a green, blue, or pink plastic makes it so much better because you can have that deactivated look to it. As I stated in the unboxing, the main flaw with the color separation that we're gonna have is the V-fin. Unfortunately, we have stickers there. That does not fly if we're paying over $200, so Bandai, we are very upset about that. Now the panel lines with the Unicorn Gundam, honestly there's so many moving parts on the Unicorn Gundam already that you hardly need any panel lines. Any part that would need a panel line actually has a real split in the panel. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of moving parts, so there's not many areas that you would need a panel line. The areas that you typically would panel line have a very deep cut in them already, so with proper lighting, you don't even need to panel line them. Regarding the proportions, apparently a lot of people think they're better than the previous master grade unicorns. Honestly, I never had any issues with the previous OVA version that I built. I think it looked just fine in terms of proportions. A few things I have to note about this new version is that the feet are still a little big. Not too big, just pretty large considering the size of the kit. That, and also this Gundam has a dong. Granted, a lot of that is going to be attributed to the connection port for the LED strip, but at the same time, they probably could have made it a little smaller. The gimmicks for this kit, well, this whole kit is pretty much one big gimmick. I mean, it transforms. That's the gimmick. But along with that, we do get the accessories that have several gimmicks to them, such as the shield funnels. The new thing we get with these is they have 2 Gatling guns attached per shield. Not only that, but we do also have some parts to connect this in this sort of a triangle shape. Makes it look a lot more intimidating. Plus, we also get some separate LED units just to light the shields when they're in this formation. Along with that, we do get the MS cage. it's pretty standard. I mean, we do get some arms that open and close. Definitely cool if you're trying to make a hanger base type diorama with this kit. And on top of that, we also get some storage here in the back for the weapons and additional parts that come with this kit. Now, the weapons that come with this kit, like I said before, we do get 6 Gatling guns. And on top of that, we also get the beam rifle and the bazooka. Now, these 2 guns right here are pretty much exactly the same as the previous Unicorns. In fact, I have the previous Unicorn's beam rifle right here, and it's virtually identical, save for the fact that this is molded in a lighter gray. I even tried interchanging the magazines and they fit perfectly. With the bazooka on the past Unicorn, one issue I had was the magazine would easily come out. The issue still kind of occurs with this new bazooka. However, Bandai did include a separate part for holding the magazine. You can swap this out with a different part. However, the new part does have additional grip for staying in the slot, so you can push it in a little tighter and it'll hold onto the magazine a little better. Now, in terms of armor on this kit, this thing is almost rock solid. Nothing's gonna fall off when you flail it around. When you're messing around with the transformation, hardly anything pops out of place, if anything at all. One thing that I remember off the bat with the old Master Grade Unicorn is the arm armor would easily fall off, especially when you had the shield attached. This part specifically on the back of the arm did not want to stay in place when you had the shield attached. The old Master Grade feels a little floppy compared to the new one. However, of course, since this is a 2020 Gunpla, Bandai's been killing it this year, so it's going to be pretty rock solid. So now I'm going to bring you guys in a little closer to get a look at the articulation as well as some differences between this Master Grade and the previous Master Grades. So there's a lot to go over with this kit, so for the sake of time, I'm just going to go over the major changes in terms of articulation. Honestly, the big differences are going to be that the arms do have a large range of motion. However, you don't want to turn them 360 degrees just because there is that LED strip on the inside. Articulation for the arms are just about the same. One thing that you will notice about the Master Grade Extreme is on the back of the elbow, you can still see the LED strip sticking out. I really wish Bandai did something to cover that up a little bit, but that's the best we got right now. On the back of the leg, we do have this flap covering the thruster. On the old Master Grade, this would actually link to the clear part on the front of the shin, where when you pull this down, it would push it out. Now on this new version, it's completely separate, so you can pull it down, and the clear part on the knee has to be pulled out separately. By far, the biggest change to articulation with the Master Grade Extreme Unicorn is going to be the knees, specifically these little flaps right here. These have the ability to open to the sides just a little bit, but it makes such a huge difference. Here we have the leg for the OVA Unicorn. That's the full bend we get. It's about 90 degrees. I believe the previous Verka was even less than that. And here we have the Master Grade Extreme Unicorn with pretty much a full knee bend right there. The addition of those opening flaps really does make a difference and allows it to get such a greater range of motion. Aside from that, articulation is mostly the same, so I'm going to go ahead and go over the transformation to show you how that differs from the old one. Starting with the head, it's much like the previous one where we take off the sides of the head, then we open the top of the head. The destroy mode mask is inside and we can flip that out right here down to the bottom. Now this part's a little tricky. You kind of have to push this in and make sure it's seated way in the back there. It's a little finicky, but once you get that mask tucked in there, then you can push the helmet down. So at this point, we're going to take the sides of the helmets, flip them around and attach. Just like so. And lastly, we just need to open the V-fin. I hate these stickers. I'm going to go ahead and take the backpack off for now for the chest transformation. For this, it's as simple as pulling it apart, flipping up these shoulder pieces, which are much easier to flip up than the old Master Grade Unicorn. Then we're going to flip these panels down. And lastly, we do have a tab on the back. We're going to flip that up, wiggle the torso out a little bit to show the lighting effect. Then we'll push the tab back down. For the shoulder, there is a new mechanism. You flip up this top part, spin this down. After you rotate that, then you can pull this out. And there we go. It is a little different from the old transformation where we would flip this down, then realign this, but it's definitely much more stable and easier to do in my opinion. For the arms, it's pretty much exactly the same. We pull the hand down first, then we can pull out this arm slot. Now on the waist, we do have a different mechanism for the front side skirts. I kind of like the old Unicorn where they kind of flipped out just like that, but there is a similar mechanism here. Instead, we actually push it out and then slide it to the corner. And you can also do this when it's attached to the waist. The side is very simple. All you do is just pull down. Same with the back, you just flip up to reveal that thruster. The thigh area does get a nice upgrade, so when you pull this out, it actually starts to push the leg down already. Perfectly in position to lock it in place. Also, when you're transforming it back, if you pull this up and push the leg in, it kind of closes it for you, which is pretty cool. At the ankles, like with the old Unicorn, we flip these tabs up. Then we can pull the foot down a little bit and close the tabs. Now the knee joint is where it changes pretty drastically. First of all, everything is way more secure and stays in place a lot better. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but it actually clicks a lot when you're moving the parts. So first we'll unclick this. We'll go ahead and maneuver it like so to open it up. We'll flip the kneecap up. Then we can open these front hinges. On the inside, we have our lighting effect part. There's a little tab right there that we can pull on, and this will actually click into place once you have it. Afterwards, we can push these tabs back in to secure it even further and realign this knee piece right here, and that will also click into place. Lastly, for the leg, we just have this back thruster. All we do is simply just pull it down. The feet should be very familiar. They're pretty much the same thing. Point the toe up, pull the heel out, flip this armor down, flip this armor up, and realign the front foot armor. I also forgot on the crotch. All I do is pull this tab out down here, then pull this up. And lastly, with the backpack, it's pretty much the same. Flip the beam sabers up, then pull out the sides for the additional thrusters. So there we have our new Unicorn. And honestly, even from this distance, it looks pretty good. It feels really good in the hand. It doesn't really feel like anything's gonna fall apart or pop off the kit. So yeah, let's take a look at the lighting effects. One thing to know about the Master Grade Extreme Unicorn is that it has to be plugged into the base in order to use the lighting effects. This is gonna occur here on the back end. Bandai does include a cover for the port when it's not in the stand. So first things first, let's take it off. And that is what it'll look like. Now, without going over the details of the base too much, this is where the connection is gonna be. Down here, we do have some controls after we flip up this panel. Here is our on-off switch, and this button is gonna be used to change our modes. And here we have the Unicorn plugged in with nothing turned on just yet. We're gonna cycle through the modes. The first mode is actually for Unicorn mode, where only the eyes light up green. The second mode will light up the eyes green, and then shortly after, the body will turn red. The third mode is similar. The eyes will turn green, but then the body will turn green. The fourth mode starts up with green eyes, the body turns red, it pulses a little bit, then after some time it shuts down and turns green. Now the next thing to look at are the shields. These do have their own individual stands with LEDs in them. These stands will have to plug into the back of the MS cage in order to turn on. And it is worth noting that these do not turn on if the Unicorn is not also plugged into the MS cage. The shields are a little less impressive than the Unicorn itself. It only has one mode, and they only turn on when the Unicorn is glowing green. Now another thing we can actually do with the Unicorn is use this shield connector right here to attach the shield to the arm. That'll slide in right here on the shield, just like so. Then we actually have to remove the beam saber cover. And there's an LED right in there that's gonna shine through the shield. So we attach the shield on right there, and let's go ahead, flip it out for destroy mode. Now when we turn it on, it should also glow with the unit. And here's a closer look with less light. This is compatible with both arms. There are two shield connectors. However, there is no location to place a third shield. Not entirely sure why you would want to. And that about wraps up the lighting effects. So now let's take a look at the rest of the accessories. Now this guy really has a ton of accessories, but first let's look at the MS cage. So if you've seen the MS cage before, it's pretty much the same thing, just with the LED unit controller at the bottom. Overall, it's a little thicker, and I don't think the original will slide forwards and backwards like this, but it's got some pretty neat gimmicks. There are 10 to 12 different arms that close and open up. They sort of surround the Unicorn when he's in there. Makes it look like a maintenance bay type of scenario. Of course, there is an action stand right in the middle that is for mounting the Unicorn, as well as the connector for the LEDs. On the bottom here is our LED unit. There are also some storage locations for the beam sabers on the side. They don't really hold in that well, but they stay there pretty well enough, mostly from gripping the bottom. On the back, we do get the 3 connectors for the shield stand LEDs. However, I find that these don't really stay in their slots that well, which kind of ends up making it look really messy. Some more details on the back, we do have 4 slots down here. These are all for the weapons. These 2 right here are able to hold the beam rifle from the butt end of the rifle, just like so. And on this end, it holds the bazooka, also from the butt end. Back to the beam rifle, like I said before, this is the exact same as the previous beam rifle. We do get enough pieces for 2 more magazines. Each of the magazines can actually slot on the back waist armor of the Unicorn, and these connection slots right here. The bazooka is just the same, the only difference is we do get a different part here in the back. Now this is what the original part looks like, and this also comes with the Master Grade Extreme. This is what the new part looks like. So it has this bulkier section here so that it can grip the back of the bazooka better and hold the magazine in place. Even still, it doesn't really do its job that well. Definitely still one of my least favorite weapons, simply because of that mistake. We get 6 Gatling guns, 3 shields. We have these connectors to link them together. To do that, you would use 2 Gatling guns from different sides, link them together like this. We're gonna slide this connector onto the shield like so, and attach them to these points right here. And there we have it. Likewise, the Gatling guns can also be attached to the arm. This is done through these mounting points here on the front and back of the arm. We'll attach one on the back and we'll attach one on the front, and they also connect right here at the top. And of course, if we have the beam saber removed here, we can also attach the shield just like so. The beam rifle and the bazooka can be attached to this point right here on the backpack. For that, there is a flip-up tab on the bazooka, slots in just like that, and we have a similar flip-up tab on the beam rifle. And here's what the beam rifle looks like mounted. So that's pretty much the Unicorn with all of his main accessories. Now I'm going to go over some extra parts that we get with the kit. This is the permanent Unicorn horn. This is an attachment for the beam saber cover on the arms. This is to turn it into the beam tonfas. It's just to give it more stability. This is the original piece, and when you try to force it, it does pop out a little bit right there. So it's a bit of a parts formation, if you would. We do get additional hands. These are for the trigger fingers. These are closed fist hands. One thing to note is the fingers on these fixed position hands do seem a little bit thicker than the full range motion manipulators. Sorry I haven't cut them out. I was just in a big rush trying to get this video out to you guys, so hopefully you can forgive me. It also comes with a connector right here if you want to attach the Unicorn to a regular action base. We do get an additional handle for the Gatling guns. You would pull this out right here and easily replace it with this part. So now the Gatling gun is able to be held in the hand. We get these connectors for the arms like I showed you earlier to connect the shield to the arm. And last but definitely not least, there's actually an extra part that goes in here that you can't really see. But in there is Benager Lynx, and around him is the destroy mode cockpit. There's actually a replaceable part for the Unicorn mode cockpit. So maybe at this point I've convinced you that this is a great kit to buy. And honestly, it is, if you have the money in your Gunpla budget already. Now I wouldn't go out of my way to splurge over $200 just for this kit, but if you're looking for something new and it's still technically within your price range, I definitely would pick it up. Concerning the gimmicks it has, all the new accessories, and the vastly improved articulation, this kit is definitely the best Unicorn Gundam that we've seen so far. The transformation is super stable, the plastic looks good even without top coating it, there's very minimal panel lining needed for the kit to make it look good. Plenty of different variations for posing considering all the accessories you get with it. Comes with a MS cage to pose it in if you don't want it in an action pose or if you want it in a special diorama scene. There's not that many things that would make this kit not worth it to have. However, there are a few things, and I'll go over them really quickly. With the transformation, some of the parts feel too stiff and it feels like you might break them apart when you're setting them into the correct position. The LED effects are very nice, however there are some hot spots that are a little too bright in some places while it's dimmer in other places, and there's also some visible seam lines on some of the clear parts. This part of the Gatling gun will get a little loose over time depending on how hard you push the barrels in. The weapons and the MS cage don't use a very fun plastic to work with. By that I mean it's very hard to clean up without leaving any marring. When posing the shields, it's really hard to hide these cables. These connection ports on the MS cage don't feel secured that well. And last but definitely not least, stickers. We don't need color separation stickers in a kit that's over $200. Anyways guys, that is it for the review. Hope you stuck around this long to watch it all. If you did stick around this long, thank you. You must be a true fan. But anyways, next on my plate will be this bad boy, so subscribe and stick around if you wanted to stay tuned for that. Like this video if you learned something new or you thought it was entertaining. If it wasn't, find something on my channel that is entertaining for you. I've got a lot of content planned out right now, so if you haven't found something that you like on my channel, maybe you'll find something in the future. Anyways guys, if you like to live your life in black and white, or you just have a burning hole in your pocket for Gunpla, go ahead, pick up this kit and start building.